about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. So I see all these commercials of how to fight aging, how to prevent aging. You could use certain creams and, do certain exercises and all that. Well, I'm telling you right now, the fastest path to aging is a fall. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. If you don't want to age quickly, then don't fall. And for those of you younger people out there, you're probably nodding your heads going, yeah, things changed after I fell. You know, when we're kids, we could bounce right back off the sidewalk or the asphalt and do fine. But when you're older, I got to tell you, my first fall happened on a Black Diamond ski slope. And that started to change things for me. And I was in my 20s. So don't fall. Now, gratefully, Pope Francis has recovered. He had a fall, didn't break anything. He had a recent fall. Apparently, this follows weeks after another incident when he had a fall. From what I understand, he just has a couple contusions. Sometimes Pope Francis uses a wheelchair. Sometimes he uses a cane or a walker. He said at first he was embarrassed about using a wheelchair, but then, he got used to it, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about. You trying to prevent your fall risk is pretty admirable. And so see Pope Francis kind of, lead that, fall risk prevention, campaign is very, very needed. Because unfortunately, a fall is what could accelerate your aging, could accelerate a lot of morbidity, and then unfortunately mortality. And so if you want to avoid an early death, don't fall. So how do you prevent falls? Do I still fall? Absolutely. I fell in August in the bathroom because the cats, when they ate their food or the dog ate their food, left a little dollop of some of the gravy of it. And it was in a place that it shouldn't have been. I wasn't expecting it to be. Most of the falls that happen is you thought you had smooth ground, smooth sailing. And then all of a sudden, no, it wasn't that smooth. I do almost fall a lot when I walk outside. I live in an area where there is 24/7 construction. And even when they fix a sidewalk or they fix a street, there's always something wrong. A lot of times I'm on paths or sidewalks that I think are stable and smooth. But if you have a tree or plants underneath, their roots could uproot the concrete and make that irregular. And so every time you hit a line, right, what was that? If you step on a crack, you break your mother's back. So you avoid. One of the reasons why that came out is they wanted to make people aware of the cracks in the sidewalk because it would always be irregular in the past. And that's where you hit it and then you fall. And I've fallen because of uneven road. So be aware and maybe live by that. If you see a crack, it'll break your mother's back. So don't step on the crack. And I know some of us were, mad at our moms at the time. So we were trying to jump on every crack. But no, joking aside, that might help you avoid the cracks in the sidewalk that sadly can cause you to fall. Of course, in your house, fall-proofing your house is paramount. Don't let there be wet. If you do have tile, make sure there's some traction on there. Some either grooves or other things that will allow you to have that grit, have that ability to not slip. Now, mind you, tile, where you get that friction and that extra traction is actually on the line. So at home, it's a little opposite. You could step on the cracks of your tile at home because it's less slippery than some of the marble. I don't have marble. I'm not rich enough to have marble. But some of our tile is marble-like, so it could get really smooth and wet. Watch for your cords, your rugs, your kitty cats, your dogs. If my dog thinks I'm going out of town, my dog will hug my ankles and follow me around because she wants either me to not leave or she wants me to take her with. And so I almost always fall right before a trip because the dog is just always around my ankles. So that's, if you are at risk for a fall, how many times have people said they tripped over their dog? Well, or they're trying to avoid the dog. I had one young man fracture his foot because the dog was just lying there in the way. And he didn't know that the dog was just lying there. And he didn't want to step on the dog, so he planted his foot, and then he hyperextended his big toe, ended up fracturing. So pets, you might have to pet-proof the house. The other thing, too, is I think we need to bring back the fashionable cane or the fashionable walking stick. And I know this isn't the 1920s, but I believe that could really, really help a lot of us that feel a little unsteady. I'll be running up and down the stairs, at T-Mobile Arena or Allegiant or wherever, or at a Subway, and I start to reach for the rail, and they're dirty, and there's gum and there's crap on them, so I don't want to touch the rail. And a lot of us since COVID are like, well, I don't want to touch anything. So now nobody's touching anything, but now they're not bracing themselves. They're not balancing. So maybe wear outside gloves so you could touch a dirty rail or touch a wall, use that for support, and then you could go ahead and clean your glove. But we really need to educate people more on falls. I have seen older individuals where they are active and they're young and they're doing all sorts of things, and then they break their hip and they're dead in a year. And I don't want to scare you guys, but these are things that nobody seems to talk about. They say, don't fall, don't fall. We always tell our loved one, don't fall. That doesn't help. Don't fall. Well, I'm not doing it on purpose. So be aware of your ground. Be aware of construction. Be aware of roots that could be uplifting. Make sure you have plenty of light in a room. That I understand the power bills are high. I get it. I pay high power bills. But make sure you have good lighting. Make sure you have good footwear. Make sure you clean. Get rid of clutter. If there's a box in an area where you walk, get rid of that. And when you're outside, be aware that these sidewalks are uneven. So don't step on the crack. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah. Yeehaw! 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah or X, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. Okay, this is interesting. All right, let me see. How do I bring this up? Today, for many Americans, is payday, right? Do you see payday celebrations like you used to? You know, not everybody was on the same schedule, but when Friday would come, it's payday. Couldn't wait for payday. For me, because I needed to pay my rent, I needed to make my car payment, I needed to pay my student loans, whatever, I could not wait for payday. I don't hear that term payday anymore. I don't see people excited about it being payday. And things have changed. So for me, I rarely used credit cards. I kind of grew up, I remember my father saying, because I asked about a credit card, because I remember in the 80s, you would see Visa and MasterCard. And I think there was a game. I don't know if it was Life. There was some game we were playing where you could have a Visa or MasterCard. I'm like, I want one of these. And my dad's like, if you don't have the money in your wallet to buy something, then you shouldn't be putting it. That means you can't afford it. So don't be putting it on a card. And so when I moved out, I supported myself and I saw the interest rates on these credit cards. I didn't want to even start. I had to get a credit card because apparently to get your own utility bill or to get a lease of an apartment, you had to show credit. So I would use the credit card and then I would pay it off every month so I could look like I have a good credit history. But I hated using a credit card because I was like, if I'm using it, that means I can't afford it. I don't have the cash. I don't have the money. And since I didn't have the money, I was making $4 an hour working at Jack in the Box and tutoring and things like that. I didn't have the money. But when payday came, gosh, that was a good day. And I remember counting the days till payday, calculating how I would pay my rent, do grocery shopping, budgeting. And I wasn't somebody who balanced my checkbook. I didn't have enough money. So I never really did that whole, I remember my mom taught me you use a red pen, you put your minus and your plus, and I was never that judicious about that because I didn't have enough money. If I had like $300 in the bank, I really didn't have to write that down. I kind of know I have 300 and I just spent $6 on groceries. Remember, I was able to buy myself $6 of groceries and make that last a week. I was super skinny. But payday was a big deal. And then when I would get asked, could you work an extra shift? I was like, oh, hell yeah. Because it all mattered with that payday. Well, things have changed a little bit. Okay. Now that the average person uses credit cards ubiquitously, all right, they don't have that panic or that fear. And I don't want people in fear. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but they don't have that stress of, okay, I need to make sure I get that paycheck so I could pay my bills. And you would think that stress still exists, but not to the degree that it used to. And so when I hear, and I do a lot of listening, I don't eavesdrop, but when people talk and I kind of, start conversations with people and, and you hear, somebody go like in the elevator or whatever, they go, yeah, they called me to come in. And I was like, oh, hell no. And, I'm thinking to myself, when I waited tables, if there was an extra shift, I would drop everything, even if I had a date, because that's an extra shift plus tips. Hell yeah. And I hear this all the time. Okay, don't answer your phone. It could be work trying to ask you to come in. Don't you want to work? Don't you need the money? And maybe the way society is now is, look, if you can't afford food, we got food stamps. If you can't, and I support that. We do need to have, supplemental nutritional programs for people who can't afford to feed their families. I don't want them spending it on junk food. I think we should be giving the vegetables and the fish and the grains and the healthy food directly, as opposed to money that you could use to buy chips. But that's a whole nother subject for a different day. But, maybe nowadays it's, all right, well, if my paycheck is my paycheck, it is what it is. And I don't see that sort of urgency or incentive to work. Now, for me, I get out of school, I have student loans, and I borrowed the bare minimum because I was waiting tables, right? And still, I'm like, I need a job. In fact, I got a job before I even graduated. So that the day, I actually worked in another state. You could get a license in another state. So I even worked while I was in school because I could get licensed in Arizona while I was still in school in Nevada. But I remember the day I was able to work in Nevada, I had a shift set up because I have to start paying all my loans. But now in society, it's, well, you know what? We'll write off your debt, write off your medical debt. We'll write off your student loan debt. We'll forbear. There's always options to, which is a good thing in society in terms of making sure nobody is destitute. But if we do really have all these safety nets, why do we have such a rising homeless population? There's something wrong with the way we're approaching work. And maybe at its granular, most elemental level, maybe it's because things have changed with payday. You used to get your pay in your hand. You'd have a check. And then you would have to go to the bank with that check. I couldn't wait when I got that check. And I'm running and I'm like, please, nobody bug me. Nobody bug me. And I wouldn't sign it. And I'd stick it in my bra. And I had a lot of room. I could put I could have my whole purse in there. But I'd have it. I'd take it to the bank. And I would go right after work or the next day or whatever I could. I mean, it was, and now, okay, well, it gets deposited in your bank account. Some people don't even know. They don't even realize. Or for a lot of us, the money's spent. Where I'd be upset if it wasn't deposited, but it just needs to be deposited because the money's spent. Remember they were giving out stimulus checks? And a bunch of us were writing on Facebook and jokes how it's already been spent. I spent it on Amazon before I even got the check. Maybe that's the problem. We're spending before we even have the money. So that when the money comes in, we're like, whew, as opposed to, oh, I can't wait. Look at what I could do. See, I used to not spend until I got my paycheck. Now, people are pre-spending, or they're already so much into debt that their paycheck doesn't do jack diddly squat. Or they feel like the debt is so insurmountable that if they did work an extra shift and make, an extra couple $100, it doesn't put a dent into it. So I'm wondering, if we're really seeing this lack of work ethic and people not wanting to come in or not picking up the phone or not calling or not wanting to pick up extra shifts or that incentive, I'm wondering if maybe we need to start making a bigger deal about payday. I'm just blown off. I mean, you're seeing all these, campaigns for days off. Let's get Friday off. And there's also campaigns to have it a paid day off, where you get paid for 5 days of work for only 4 days. That's not going to last. I'm telling you right now. The average employer is going to say, hell no. I know they've been testing it in Europe, but I don't think they're letting the employers go, are you flipping kidding me? I'm paying them to be off on Friday. Who's paying me? Who's taking care of the customers? And there's just this anti-work mentality and sentiment right now. You know how many patients tell me their doctor doesn't work on Fridays, their dentist doesn't work on Fridays? I'm like, but you need to see a doctor, you're sick. They go, yeah, they're closed on Fridays. I was open on Fridays and Saturdays. I closed on Sundays. But how are you a medical entity and closed on Fridays? But it's a thing. And it's something society has now expected. I take care of so much dental calls on Fridays and Saturdays. And I'm not a dentist, but their dentist is closed. Now, mind you, these dentists are overworked, and I get that. And I know it's expensive to run a dental office, very expensive. So maybe that, cutting off Fridays helps them, make ends meet. I don't know. But life goes on 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And our attitudes are just going the other way. So for those of you whose day is it's payday, yay, it's payday. Congratulations. But I kind of get the feeling a lot of you are not happy because the money's been spent. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I get kind of visual on this show. Many of you are watching my videos on Facebook Live and Twitter and etc. So most of the videos I have are on Facebook Live. Most of my show is audio, though. So for those of you that want to watch something, you might want to tune into Facebook Live, because I am getting sick and tired of hearing how people do not want to eat healthy, do not want to eat salads or vegetables. They say, I cannot eat vegetables. This little baby bowl of a salad with greens and some purple lettuce and some croutons, although I really don't want to add any more carbs to my diet than I have, so I'm going to skip the croutons. But there's so many of you that go, cannot eat the salad. Nope, sorry. Not going to do this. And you look at this. There's no dressing on this. I do have some dressing on the side, which is really good. There's this place in town called Chuck's. I don't really eat crab or anything, but they have like the best dressing. Thing is, it's very sugary. It's very caloric, so I don't eat too much of it. But I don't want to teach you how to eat a salad or vegetables that is drowning in butter or cheese. Or, yeah, I know, to get spinach in me, it has to be cream spinach. But, there's a way to do this and get these vegetables into your system. All right, so I'm going to show you guys this. Watch. So here is a piece of lettuce. This looks very unappetizing at all, right? Watch this. There it is. I'm eating it. It doesn't taste that bad, but there I go. Now here's a purple leaf. This has obviously some different nutrients because of the phytochemicals and the colorings. And if I put this in my mouth, there we go. We eat it. You see, all you have to do is not think about it. Take a piece of lettuce, shove it in your mouth, and there you go. You're going to be able to poop better. It's good for your teeth. A lot of times I smile. I got food in my teeth. At least people know I got my vegetable. You could take the croutons and throw them at your pets. Or I like to throw these things because these are like little weapons, these little croutons. I don't have to eat the croutons. I love onions. I just can't digest them. But I just ate about a forkful and a half of vegetables without dressing, without crying, without moaning, and I got it in me. Now, some of you are saying, well, okay, that's kind of common sense. If it is common sense, how come you guys aren't doing it? How come you're not getting the vegetables in you? How come you won't eat it? Well, because you were trained on only doing things that you want to do. Your parents, when you were growing up, said if you want dessert, you're going to have to finish your meal. Well, no, you don't always get dessert in life. If you want to live, you eat. I'm telling you right now, in caveman days, I sincerely doubt zebra was tasty, or the fish that they caught was really that succulent and delicious. But we, over time, evolved to only eat things that are peppered or have cumin or cinnamon or basil or oregano. Now, I am not saying don't season your foods. If you want to season your foods, that's fine. But when are we going to go back to the thinking that not everything has to taste super yummy? Look at how I'm trying to get everybody to drink more water. Water has no taste. Now, to me, it tastes good when I'm really thirsty after a workout. But water is not going to be sweet. It's not going to be chocolatey. It's not going to be bubbly. Although there was some interesting study on carbonated water we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But I want you, as we're, going into this new year, to do something that might not necessarily give you such dopaminergic rewards. That's healthy. Okay? Let's say you know your mother-in-law would like a call from you, and there is absolutely no dopamine that seems to come from that. Just do it. And I tell you, you will actually feel better. Whenever I eat a salad that I didn't dump in a sugary dressing, I feel good that I ate a healthy meal. This is my breakfast and lunch today, and it's plenty. It's big enough. I'm going to skip the onions because I don't digest onions anymore. I wish I did, and I don't have any Beano. Beano gives you enzymes, so when you don't digest food, you get very gassy and bloaty, and I got a flight tomorrow. I really don't want to be, having to evacuate a plane, so I'm going to be skipping the onions, but I got to tell you, God, onions. These are, if you want to season foods and you want to add flavor, you put onions in it. I mean, onions are fantastic. It is a healthy, very healthy way to season. Another thing I like are tomatoes. Oops, I dropped my tomato. Well, 3-second rule. These little tomato bits, that sweetens your salad. Also, you could add cranberries. Some people like to add cheese. I want to kind of limit, the dairy for me. But yeah, cheese can make your salad better. Some people add egg. And, if you are doing dressing, interestingly, so, I got a nice, this is like more than a dollop. This is like a whole bunch of dressing. And now it just spilled all over the place. So when I did Weight Watchers years ago, they taught me, it's funny, I gained a lot of weight in puberty. And when my parents were trying to lose weight, I went to, so I was a kid, I was like 13. I went to Weight Watchers with them. And then I skinnied out and I was slim until menopause. But I wasn't like super slim. I was Dr. Daliah thin. So that's size 7 to 9 with double Ds. But still thin, I stayed thin. Even after the pregnancies, I lost the baby weight. It wasn't until menopause and perimenopause that all of a sudden everything packed on. But I was talking about, now I forgot what I was talking about. That's another thing, dementia. Talking about weight gain. Oh, yeah. So Weight Watchers taught us that rather than dump, and we're talking, this is the 1980s, rather than dumping a whole bunch of dressing onto your salad, take a fork. And it wasn't Weight Watchers. It was somebody in the Weight Watchers room. One of the people that just weighed in said they dip their fork into the dressing. And there's a little bit on each strand of the fork, whatever you call those poker thingies of the fork. And then they dip it in their salad and they get that little taste and it works. You could use honey. There's a lot of things you could do. But I don't even want you to sit here and try to manipulate your vegetables. Just take whatever you need to eat and stick it in your mouth. It's that simple. And, I don't want to insult anybody. I get it. Life is too short. If you could enjoy, some chocolate mousse and some succulent, well-seasoned, slow-roasted prime rib, I don't blame you. But people are not eating what they need to that's healthy because they're like, well, it doesn't taste good. I need to make it taste better. You're not going to make it taste better. To me, this tastes like crap. But I don't tell myself that. I tell myself that the more bitter, assuming you're not eating something that has fungus on it or is rotten. But if I taste bitter or I taste vegetable, I tell myself, ooh, that's good. I'm really getting in my vitamins. Speaking of vitamins, look at this market of gummy vitamins. How many of you have had more acid reflux and burping because of the gelatin? When did vitamins have to get sugary? And I understand the Flintstones vitamins I had as kids were tasty. But no, your vitamins are not supposed to be sugary. 1-877 Daliah, don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So there is nothing more exciting and exhilarating than falling in love. Falling in love is amazing. And when you've been married as long as I have, for so many years, I think back to, those first few dates, and when I was actually dating a friend of his before I started dating him, but I'm like, he's kind of cute, and when you go back and you want to capture that again, and we talk about romance and marriages and how to kind of keep things fresh and fun, but sadly, a lot of you are at risk for scams online, and there was one woman who lost almost $1 million because she fell for a scam where she thought she was online dating Brad Pitt. Now, some of you will say, oh my gosh, how could she have been so obtuse or naive? Well, these scams start off really, really subtle. So basically, I think she was like skiing in the French Alps or something, and Brad Pitt's supposed mother DM'd her. And she starts to become friends with this person who pretends to be Brad Pitt's mom. Then she's like, my son could really use you. Somebody like you. Let me introduce you to. Because usually a lot of these scams is they write, I get these scams all the time, where they write and they'll go, hi, Daliah, you're hot. And I'm like, I know. No, but that's how I know it's fake, because I'm not hot. If somebody online is saying you're hot, I'm like, okay, then that's already either a bot or that person is completely lying through their teeth. So that's how I know. But if they go, you could use some cosmetic surgery and, I'd like to kind of help you with some nip tuck. And then I'd be like, okay, this person's real. This person is actually looking at my actual pictures and knows for sure what my situation is. But anyway, so this woman, she ends up starting to then, I guess, be in this relationship who she thought had to do with Brad Pitt. And then the mother reaches out to her saying, this is a Brad Pitt's real mom, that he's in the hospital. He has kidney cancer. He needs help, but all his accounts are frozen because of the divorce with Angelina Jolie. So she's falling for all this and starts spending money and sending money. And you need to really, really be careful. And, I get it's very addictive to, have somebody that thinks you're the most amazing and beautiful and then send you poems and but there's scammers out there. And what makes this more difficult is we used to say, don't date somebody you met online. Okay. Make sure it was, somebody set up through a friend of a friend but everybody's online now. Okay, we don't have penny savers anymore where people would meet people and add in the penny saver. We don't, if you're not going to school or you're doing online school, you're not meeting people. The average date is being set up online. That's frightening. I'm Gen X. I could not imagine being on a computer trying to find someone to date. No wonder we have so many people out there that are single or celibate. You know how scary that is? I'll look at some of my friends' pictures online and I'm like, whoa, I just saw you a couple weeks ago. You lost 60 pounds that quick? I don't say that. No, but that's the way they were able to get the angle. And, come on. And so these pictures, they're not necessarily fake, but you can now have AI fix your photo. And I've put up some AI pictures and they're like, oh, wow, you look great. You look hot. I'm like, yeah, I do, but it's thanks to AI. You know how much money I spend on makeup and hair and lashes and nails? I should just have AI do it all, but I'm not dating, thank God. For those of you who are, or you're alone and you want that companionship, you're very vulnerable. And so be cautious. Valentine's is coming up, which I can't stand. I think Valentine's is the stupidest holiday. There's all this pressure. So if you're married or if you're in a relationship, there's all this pressure that you have to do something good, because if what you do is not as good as somebody else, it's ridiculous. And you should be showing your love 365 days a year. It shouldn't just be about one day. And then if you're single, you feel like something's wrong with you. And so I think Valentine's Day stinks, but there's going to be a lot of people going, I can't believe I'm single on Valentine's Day. I can't believe I'm single on Valentine's Day. This is horrible. This is embarrassing. Well, then so now there's going to be somebody going, hi, I hate being single on Valentine's Day. I'm not saying we need to date, but I see you online. I've been following you. You're really funny. Hi, I'd like to meet you for coffee. And here you are thinking that is completely benign. And it could be. So, how to tell if it's a scam? Well, one is if they're being overly demonstrative with their compliments or their flattery. They don't know you, and so if they're already saying, you are so beautiful inside and out. You're like, really? I stepped on a bug the other day and said score. I really, how do you know I'm beautiful inside and out? It starts to kind of, yeah. If they, if they, shall we say, try to step up the timeline of the relationship faster than it needs to be. Because remember, these scam artists, they need money. And that's why they're doing it. And they might not put 3-4 months in to the relationship. So they're going to be why wait? That Harry met Sally. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, and I want the rest of my life to start today. It's a beautiful line, very romantic, but he knew Harry met Sally for about 10, 15 years prior to that, or 20 years, I forget. Okay, somebody that's just meeting you online, please. Also, if they're not friends of people you're friends with, I get these emails and these DMs all the time from people that have no mutual friends, and you're like, they're bots, whatever. But if you do see that they do have mutual friends and people you know, and you look at their, and they obviously hang out, you can at least do your research. Do your research on these people. But a random person online, you got to be careful. And always live by the rule, I'm not giving you money. Now, I know that's hard if you're already a month or two into this and you want to look generous. Generosity and being unselfish and altruistic are very sexy qualities. And you want to show that. But you don't have to show that by giving them money. All right? If they, are attracted to you because you hosted a blood drive. Very sexy, by the way. If you guys want to really look sexy and get a date, host a blood drive. You meet people, right? You're showing that you're helping out. Very sexy. Do that. Also, what's very sexy is listening to really good talk radio. So if you really want an in, you could say, I listen to the Dr. Daliah show. Ooh, oh my gosh, wow. Man, where's the nearest hotel room? Hey, look, I'm trying. But once money gets into play, a big sign of a scam is they're overseas. Now, you could date somebody overseas. Overseas is exotic. I got to tell you, all you have to be is Italian. And I'm interested. I just love, really, you're in Italy right now? I am on a plane to meet you. But that's a red flag. Okay? If somebody says, I'm out of the country. If you're like, I'd like to meet you. Let's meet for coffee. And they always come up with reasons why they can't. That's a concern. Or they say, my credit card is full. Max, I really want to see you. Can you help pay? That's a scam. So do your homework, do your research, and don't fall for it. Okay? 1-877-Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.